So viel zu dem. Ähm, Ich habe noch ein paar Channels, wo bei mir noch offen sind, auf die reacten, beziehungsweise Videos. Vor allem auch auf etwas, wo auch nicht allzu lang her ist, wo das gerade passiert ist. Ich glaube, etwa eine Woche. In England ist jemand tödlich abgestochen worden. Und wo die Polizei gekommen ist, an den Ort, wo er abgestochen worden ist, haben sie statt den Täter zu nehmen, haben sie den Opfer genommen und ja, er ist dann ein paar Tage später im Spital unglücklicherweise dann verstorben. Ein sehr junger Typ. Ähm, und zwar ist das der ähm, Henry Novak. Novak heißt er. Und mit dem steige ich jetzt auch ein. Und gleichzeitig kann ich euch gerade auch einen coolen Channel zeigen von so einem Dude von England, den ich recht feiere. Der Jake Munro heißt er. Ganz basic sich. Und ja, er hat halt das Video gemacht und also es hat zwei Videos. Ich hab mich halt nicht entscheiden, ob ich mit dem ersten Video soll starten, wo er dann rausgehauen hat, oder mit schon gerade von Anfang an mit dem nächsten Video, wo es darum geht, dass ja, die dafür verantwortlich sind, dass er verstorben ist, anscheinend kommt da Justice über ihn. Ähm, aber ich glaube, ich zeige euch einfach beide und ja, da würde ich halt da mal reingehen. Ich tue jetzt da noch Untertitel an. Und zwar, das ist der Jake Munro. Der hat halbe Million Follower auf YouTube. Obviously englisch sprechende. Ja, er hat auch allgemein recht viele Videos, wo halt auch um den Kulturkampf geht, halt über Sachen, die passiert sind. Und der geht halt viel auch ein auf Goth-Stuff. Also auch von der Szene her. Sachen, wo vielleicht Leute halt nicht wissen, wenn sie nicht in der Goth-Szene sind. Für die es nicht wissen, ich persönlich, viele kennen mich als, dass ich gerne rappe oder gerne Graffiti habe und so, aber ich bin auch recht ein Crossover-Typ. Ich bin auch noch mit Nu Metal aufgewachsen und für mich ist auch Post-Punk, Grunge, also generell Metal, auch Gothic finde ich ganz nice. Also ich habe genauso viel Liebe für die richtigen wie auch wenn ich für Hip-Hop und Rap habe. Mittlerweile jetzt mit dem Erwachsenenalter sogar zum Teil noch mehr. Aber ja, ich würde in dem Fall sagen, ich tue euch radikalisieren und gehen wir rein. Und die Titel sind gestellt. Sind sie auf Deutsch? Was? Ich könnte einen Audiotrack auf Deutsch machen? Nein, das mache ich nicht. Wir müssen seine Originalstimme hören. Oh, Panikkaktus. Ich würde das so gerne erlauben. Aber ich weiß nicht, wenn ich das jetzt erlaube, ob ich dann auch Probleme kriege. Aber du weißt. Aber ja, gehen wir rein. Autotranslate auf Deutsch ist drin. Gut. Ja, let's go.
on the Henry Novak situation. Are they
Wieso
good?
höre ich nicht?
Let me read through this this recent development here. So, a Sikh man on trial for stabbing a university student in the street has denied a charge of manslaughter. Henry Novak,
Ah, der
18,
hat mit
from
meinem
Chafford
iPad
100, was
verbunden.
killed as he walked back from a
Oh,
night out in
oh, oh,
Southampton.
also,
There have been
zurück.
updates on the Henry Novak situation. Are they good? Are they? Let me read through this this recent development here. So, a Sikh man on trial for stabbing a university student in the street has denied a charge of manslaughter. Henry Novak, 18, from Chafford 100, was killed as he walked back.
Warte schnell. Panikaktus, wenn ich sage radikalisieren, dann meine ich nur einfach radikalisieren. Du kannst dich jede Richtung radikalisieren. Radikal heisst nur, dass du mega befürworterisch für etwas einstehst. Eigentlich. Aber halt jetzt so umgangssprachlich, in den meisten Fällen, wenn man jetzt sagt, so nach Internet sagen, hey komm, ich tu dich radikalisieren, dann heisst das meistens, ich tu dich redpillen quasi. Ich zeige dir Sachen aus dem rechten Spektrum, so in die Richtung. Halt viele Sachen, die halt auch vom radikalen Linken oder Linksextremismus halt gern verschleiert wird. Oder einfach nicht angenommen wird, wenn man sie mit der Wahrheit konfrontiert. Aber anyway, wenn wir da drin, weil das ist mir jetzt halt schon ein bisschen ein ernstes Thema. Weil das, was mit ihm passiert ist wirklich schrecklich und es ist nicht nur eine Sache, die falsch gelaufen sind, sondern es sind mehrere Sachen, die falsch gelaufen sind. Und all diese Sachen wiederum zeigen die Realität, wo überall Probleme sind und meistens kommen viele Probleme alles nur von einer Richtung oder zwei.
Back from a night out in Southampton on 3rd of December. Vikram Digva, 23, is accused at Southampton Crown Court of the murder and carrying a knife in public, both of which he denies. Even though we have accounts of him carrying the knife, pictures of him with his knife, accounts of his mom hiding the knife. This has just stood in court and has straight up said, none of it's true. You can't pin any of it on me. The judge, William Mousley KC, told...
Ich glaube, ich suche da schnell etwas raus. Irgendwo eine Beschreibung. Gehen wir schnell auf Twitter da. Ja, wir fangen mit dem an. Dann gehe ich wieder zurück. Dann ist es auch ein bisschen erklärt. Ja. Sorry.
And passed out on the street. He was stabbed multiple times by a man called Vikram Digwa, 23, with an 8-inch Sikh ceremonial knife.
Mit so einem Messer ist er abgestochen worden. Am Sonntag, am helllichten Tag in London, glaube ich.
This is your multicultural society. Digwa stabs Henry 4 times, wounds, fatal puncture to the chest, 8
Also in die Brust hat er gestochen.
centimeters deep into the left lung, causing
8 cm in die linke Lunge.
to drown in his own blood. 2 to the back of the legs. Henry tries to...
Und auch im hinteren Teil vom Bein auch. Also, wenn du von hinten abgestochen wirst, dann ist es, weil du wegsäckeln und der andere ist auf dich.
escape. He climbs a bin, fence, and car. He leaves a trail of blood. A video taken by Digwa, the Sikh, shows Henry climbing while Digwa comments on the scene. Henry's shoes come off. Digwa is heard saying, "I've got his shoes and everything, bruv." Neighbours call 999 quickly. Digwa tells arriving police that Henry had racially assaulted him. He claimed Henry knocked
Der andere, der auf ihn eingestochen hat, hat dann behauptet, dass von wegen der andere hätte ihm sei ihm rassistisch gekommen und hätte ihm bedrängt oder so. Was natürlich Selbst wenn auch. Nur weil dir irgendwelche Wörter nicht gefallen, wo dir etwas sagt, ist das noch lange kein Grund, um auf jemanden einstechen. Wenn dir jemand etwas Rassistisches sagt und du ihn dafür dann abstichst, dann bist du ein Stück Scheiße. So einfach ist das. Natürlich ist es nicht okay, rassistisch zu sein. Aber das ist noch lange nicht der Grund, um jemanden umzubringen. Also beziehungsweise nur, weil jemand etwas Rassistisches sagt. Es gibt dann noch lange keinen Freipass.
Off his turban in a drunken racist attack. It's now come out that Henry had drank less than the legal limit to go driving. So he had drank less than that. Henry
Also
protests that he...
Der Henry hat weniger Alkohol getrunken, als eigentlich erlaubt wäre zum Autofahren. Also er ist, vielleicht hat er ein kleines Bier gehabt, mehr nicht. Und der andere behauptet, er sei eine betrunkene rassistische Attacke gewesen.
had been stabbed. Digwa initially denies the stabbing, but Digwa pretends he didn't stab him. The officers on site come and they handcuff Henry, who's bleeding out, the young white boy, believing him the aggressor based on Digwa's accusations. Henry collapses unconscious.
Digga, ich würde ihm nicht mal ein bisschen antrauen, dass der betrunken rassistische Attacken verübt am Sonntagnachmittag, Bro. Das ist doch einfach traurig, Mann. Das ist einfach traurig. Das ist jetzt eigentlich ein ähnlicher Fall wie George Floyd. Halt einfach, dass es kein Schwarzer ist es halt ein Weißer, halt ein Engländer. Und das ist jetzt ein Fall wie von George Floyd halt in England. Und ich habe bis jetzt da in der Schweiz, ich habe nichts gehört von diesem Fall. Gar nichts. Und der Grund, warum man von solchen Fällen nichts hört oder die Medien das nicht aufgreifen, ist, weil sie genau wissen, dass es wegen dem halt erst recht mehr Rechtsruck gibt. Aber heutzutage ist es ja hure schlimm, einfach rechts zu sein. Weil wenn du nicht links bist, dann bist du nicht gut, weißt du?
While handcuffed. So you had this Indian Sikh stab Henry with his religious knife that for some reason these Indians are allowed to carry. When police arrive on scene, Digwa pretends he hadn't stabbed him, he cuts his own face, and his mother hides the blade for him. The police, based on that testimony...
Digga, die Mutter von dem Typ hat sogar, also vom Täter hat ja sogar das Messer von ihm hat ja sogar versteckt. Das heisst, sogar seine Mom, unabhängig, eben weil sie es gemacht hat, weil sie eine Mom ist sie praktisch zur Komplizin geworden durch das. Aber nur ein bisschen, aber trotzdem. Digga, Alter, meine Mutter würde mir weißt wie Klepfen halten und es wäre okay, es wäre based.
Handcuff Henry while he bleeds out and dies in his own blood. The medical cause: multiple stab wounds, facial chest wound led to internal bleeding. He drowned in his own blood while on the street and cuffed by the police. While Digwa accused Henry of...
Wie kann es sein, dass die Polizei ihm Handschellen anlegt, während er am Blüten ist? Aber es gibt dann noch einen kleinen Plot-Twist, was das für Polizisten gsi sind.
racism and pretending that he never stabbed him. This 18-year-old drowned in his own blood, while a Sikh was allowed to walk the streets with a religious blade which he used to kill an 18-year-old boy, and then he lied about it to police. This 18...
Also ich sage euch ganz ehrlich, nach dem Fall sollte man eigentlich wieder die Todesstrafe wieder einführen in England. Und dann sollten sie den Täter hinrichten. Und dann können sollen sie die Leichen mit seiner Familie zurück in sein Land schicken. Und das wäre dann noch nett. So. Jetzt haben wir schon mal den Crashkurs Background da, was alles gegangen ist. Und er kommt jetzt da sicher auch noch mit weiteren Infos. Der, hey, ich vergesse immer wieder den Namen. Der Jake.
There have been updates on the Henry Novak situation. Are they good? Are they? Let me read through this this recent development here. So, a Sikh man on trial for stabbing a university student in the street has denied a charge of manslaughter. Henry Novak, 18, from Chafford 100, was killed as he walked back from a night out in Southampton on 3rd of December. Vikram Digva, 23, is accused at Southampton Crown Court of the murder and carrying...
Ich nimm's, wenn den Namen so ausspricht, Alter.
on 3rd of December. Vikram Digva, 23, is accused at Southampton Crown Court of the murder and carrying a knife in public, both of which he denies. Even though we have accounts of him carrying the knife, pictures of him with his knife, accounts of his mom hiding the knife. This has just stood in court and has straight up said none of it's true. You can't pin any of it on me. The judge, William Mousley KC, told the jury that he had ordered Digva to face a charge of manslaughter as an alternative to the murder charge. The judge is trying to get this a lighter sentence. He wouldn't agree to a murder charge. He won't agree to a manslaughter one either. This judge is literally trying to get this the lightest possible sentence. Explaining the...
Ich schwöre, Alter. Die Richterin... Ist eine Richterin? The Judge William Muslim. Okay, ein Richter. Der Drecksrichter probiert jetzt für einen Täter die möglichst geringere Strafe für ihn erzielen. Die tun nicht mal für... er ist nicht mal angeklagt für versuchten Mord. Kollege, wenn du jemandem ein Messer in die Brust reinrammst, durch die Brust, das ist versuchter Mord. Das ist genau gleich wie mit dem Winterthur. Das ist auch Minimum fix. Nein, nicht mal Minimum. Es ist schon mal fix versuchte Tötung. Aber wenn du schon eben Messer in einem bestimmten Ort hast, wo bewusst ist, dass das lebensgefährlich ist, Herz, Lunge, Hirn, überall wo wichtige Organe sind, das ist für mich persönlich alles versuchter Mord. Und dann ist mir scheißegal, Alter, ob du psychischen Schaden hast, ob du auf dem Weg nach Europa vergewaltigt worden bist, ist scheiß auf dich, Alter. Du hast probiert, einen anderen Menschen umzubringen und du wirst für diese Aktion verurteilt. Und man nennt das Baby beim Namen. Wir müssen unbedingt mehr anfangen. Wir müssen ein bisschen mehr härter reingehen bei diesen Sachen. Die ganze Zeit, der Soft Language geht mir mega auf den Sack. Und ich habe es auch selber gemerkt, als ich auf Streamen habe, wie es einen Einfluss auf mich hat. Aber heute habe ich richtig Bock reinzugehen und dementsprechend halte ich mich heute nicht zurück.
New charge, the judge told the jurors if a person may not have deliberately have caused the fatal injury or may not have intended to kill or cause reasonably serious harm, he or she is not guilty of murder. This drove an 8-inch blade so far into this kid's chest, it punctured his lung, and as a result, is dead. And then chased this poor kid to stab him in the back at least twice. And this judge is...
Aber er ist ihm sogar noch hinter Nachen gesäckelt, hat ihm zweimal noch in den Rücken gestochen. Nein, jetzt wirklich for real, Alter. Wir müssen wirklich für so Leute... Ich weiss, ich tue hier advocaten für, dass man Todesstrafe wieder einführt. Aber ich meine das im Ernst und ich meine das in allen westlichen Ländern. Für so Täter müssten wir das haben. Ganz ehrlich, Alter. Und wer glaubt, dass das nicht irgendwie solche Taten in Zukunft wird eher verhindern, der lebt nicht in der Realität. Der hat einfach nicht gecheckt, wie die wilden Tiere funktionieren. Die verstehen nur eine fucking Sprache. Ich bin sogar der Überzeugung, du hast mega viele Leute hier in Europa, also nicht nur ich bin der Überzeugung, ich weiß es. Ich sage jetzt nicht von wo, aber ich weiß es. Ich kenne Leute. Jeder, der in der organisierten Kriminalität ist, weiß ganz genau, was er für eine Strafe wird bekommen für das, was er macht. Hast du das Gefühl, all die Leute, die hierher kommen oder da sind und nicht ursprünglich von Europa sind und dann straffällig werden, die wissen nicht, dass die mit einem blauen Auge davon kommen? Hast du das Gefühl, die wissen das nicht? Hast du das Gefühl, es gibt nicht Leute, die das missbrauchen?
He's trying to get this a lighter sentence. He's a murderer. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This, not long after, a bunch of jippos, 2 girls. And the judge was like, well,
Es sind 2 Polizistinnen gewesen. Und ich habe schon Videos gesehen von England Polizistinnen. Ich zeige euch dann auch nochmal ein Video. Nicht gegen Frauen, aber bei gewissen Einsätzen, wo die Polizei dabei ist, dann hast du lieber... Oh, schon wieder Dings. Robocop, fuck. Frauen... Oh, danke für den Input, ich habe vergessen zu drücken. So, zurück zu dem, was ich gesagt habe. Eben, nicht gegen Frauen, die können gerne bei der Polizei sein, sie können gerne beim Militär sein, aber sie können halt nicht wirklich überall so gut eingesetzt werden wie jetzt ein Mann. Zum Beispiel, wenn es dann um physische Kraft geht. Und jetzt zum Beispiel in dem Fall da, von dem Dude da, der abgestochen worden ist, die Polizistinnen gewesen, die gekommen sind, haben ihn festgehabt. Der andere sagt, ja, der hat mich rassistisch attackiert. Könnte es echt sein, dass sie vielleicht ideologisch auch radikalisiert sind? Wie hoch ist die Wahrscheinlichkeit? Gibt es nicht schon Videos von solchen Polizistinnen? Ja. Und die Bodycam-Videos, die werden sie wahrscheinlich auch nie veröffentlichen. Weil man wird es ganz sofort sehen. Man wird ganz genau sehen, dass die Polizistin einfach verschissen hat. Nein. Wenn ich der Richter wäre, Alter, ich würde die Polizistin lebenslänglich in den Knast schicken und der andere Typ, der würde Todesstrafe bekommen.
I don't want to put them in prison. They've been so well behaved here in court. You guys get out of here. Rape's not that bad. I read the testimonials from the girls that said one of them wants to kill herself now, but just a little bit of rehab. You guys will be fine. I don't want to be the judge to put a couple of kids in jail. There will be a day where we will round up these judges and they themselves will face consequences for what they have done, okay? For the people that are dead, for the women that are raped, for the children that have been assaulted, for the elderly that have been scammed. These judges, one day, they are going to be held accountable. They will be judged.
Das ist genau das. Es wird ein Tag kommen, da wird man all die Täter, die immer wieder rausgelassen worden sind, die bekommen ihre gerechte Strafe. Aber wer erst recht seine gerechte Strafe bekommt, sind all die fucking Richter, wo all die Leute wieder am nächsten Tag auf freiem Fuß lassen. An denen klebt genauso viel Blut dran, wenn nicht sogar noch mehr. Und das ist in England so, das ist in Frankreich so, das ist in Deutschland so, das ist sogar zum Teil auch hier in der Schweiz so, allgemein in den westlichen Ländern. Und das ist alles nur getrieben durch radikale linke Ideologie. Und das ist das Problem.
Judge themselves. I need you to imagine. You have had the greatest injustice done against you. A brown bioweapon from God knows where has killed your mom or your dad or your brother or God forbid your wife. You are hurting more than you can possibly even comprehend. You didn't know people could hurt this bad and not die. In fact, you think you could pass out from the emotional damage that's been done to you. You don't know how to stay conscious because of the emotional anguish you're going through, okay? It is unbearable agony. You've just had to finish clearing out your house of her stuff that she will never use again because she's dead. Her clothes that were on the floor, her makeup that was on the counter. And then you go to court. The only solace, the only thing in your life offering you some kind of reprieve. Will there be justice for this? And you go in there and the judge gives the guy a light sentence and he's gonna be out in a couple of years. Which means you're gonna be walking on the same streets as the guy that killed your wife. A guy who was not even born there, doesn't need to be there. There's absolutely no reason why he was in your area, why he's in your city, why he's in your country. Your new reality is total, utter pain, unending pain, every night.
Ich wollte auch ganz klarstellen für all die Leute, die jetzt das auch noch werden sehen und so. Wenn man über die Leute redet, die die Straftaten verüben, hier in Europa, die nicht Europäer sind, dann redet man bewusst von Nicht-Europäern, die straffällig werden. Leute, die nicht von Europa sind und in Europa sind und sich ins System integrieren und keine Straftat verüben, gegen die sagt niemand etwas, gegen die hat niemand etwas. Ja, es gibt vielleicht ein paar vereinzelte, ja, aber das ist nicht so viel, wie die anderen Leute einem weiss machen, dass das ganze System sei rassistisch und. Und wenn man sich dann einmal dagegen ausspricht, gegen die Themen oder gegen die Täter, dann wird es dann eher so hergestellt, so, du bist ja voll der Nazi, du bist so rechtsextrem und da. Jetzt genau diese Leute verhindern, dass man überhaupt schneller vorwärts kommt bei diesen Problemen und wegen dem gibt es dann eher neue Opfer. Ist einfach so. Ist einfach eine reine Tatsache. Aber das sind genau auch die gleichen Leute, die dir sagen, du sollst an einem Opfer glauben, wenn er etwas sagt. Aber ja, nur solange sein eigenes Narrativ passt, dann ist es okay, sonst nicht.
Is your wife's face. You leave the courtroom devastated. You have never in your life considered self-annihilation more than you have right now, merely to put an end to this palpable sense of hate and anger and sadness that you feel is so potent other people can feel it because you went into the courtroom, and a courtroom of your own people, of people that are like...
Was ich auch noch dazu muss sagen ist, umso öfters solche Sachen passieren, wie jetzt der Fall da, und dass der andere dann der Richter probiert, ihm dann die geringste Strafe zu geben. Und der Täter kommt dann mal raus. Was denkst du, wie lange geht das? Wie lange kannst du das noch weiter so durchziehen? Bis dann irgendwann mal ein Vater, eine Mutter, ein Bruder oder eine Schwester sagt, weisst du was, die Justiz macht einen Scheiß, ich kümmere mich selber darum. Und wenn du dann das hast, dann ist das ein Problem per Design. Aber willst du in einer Welt leben, wo du die Justiz in die eigene Hand musst nehmen? Ich glaube, niemand von uns will in so einer Welt leben.
Like you, born in the same place, taught the same things at school, played the same games with each other, born under the same flag, ruled over by the same monarchy. Your own countrymen stared this beady-eyed, sub-Saharan, low IQ from Africa when like, yeah, I don't want to put another black in prison because that tends to happen a lot. So you're gonna walk. You get 3 years, light security, and you probably get out on good behavior. As for you, white man, deal with it. And that's the rest of your life.
Ist so.
Anguish.
Ist so.
No justice. How can you live? How can you live like that? Do you know these people who die in the street to these savages. They get dressed every morning the same way they always do. They have plans for the day, plans for the weekend, a show they're looking forward to watch, movies, a restaurant they'd love to visit one day. They're probably talking about holidays. They're you, man. They're you. You talk to your girlfriend, your wife, your mom. Oh, we should go here one day. Oh, that'd be nice. Hey, do you remember when we went here on vacation that one time? That was beautiful. They're you. These are you. These are not just news reports. These are not names that are generated to make you mad. These are people. Your own people. They went out that day with expectations of coming home to complete whatever they had to do that day. Chores, making some drinks, watching a show, picking your kid up from school. And now they can't, and they never will. Some kid will never see his mom pick him up from school again, ever. He will never see her face again at the school gates. There are grieving white parents in England who dare not touch their dead child's bedroom because it hurts too much. We do not need to be living around these animals. They have no need to be here. They don't need to be here. We were not drowning or struggling to stay afloat, and then they imported a shit ton of these to save us. This was done against our will. We did not need this to be done. We didn't want this. We didn't ask for this, but we're sure as hell having to live with the consequences of it. And you don't get to complain. You don't get to complain about it because that's racist. You know that bomber that killed 22 kids, one of which was a 8-year-old, to go see Ariana Grande? Those parents don't get to see their kid again. Imagine, and I'm gonna try and get through this without welling up. Imagine having to go into your 8-year-old kid's room and take down their posters and put their stuffies and their blankets in a bag because they died. They were killed by a Muslim at a show they were so excited to go see. Do you know why that Muslim got that far? Do you know why that sketchy Muslim was able to get into the Ariana Grande show to blow up a bunch of people? It's because when people ID'd him and noticed that he was acting weird, they didn't want to say anything because they didn't want to appear racist. Are you mad yet? People ask me what I'm doing.
Wie kann man so fucking geistig behindert sein, dass du jemanden für auffällig haltest, aber du willst es nicht outcallen, weil du sonst rassistisch wirkst? Weißt du? Das Problem ist auch, sehr viele Menschen denken so. Die würden es nicht in Kauf nehmen, dass man sie als Rassist sieht und vielleicht hätte man dann vielleicht doch etwas verhindern können. Die Leute haben zum Teil einfach keine Ahnung von Risikomensch. Und dann hat das Paar gemeint, du siehst rassistisch. Ja, und Mann, hure schlimm, Mann. Fuck.
Here, shed yourself of whatever you had left of white guilt. It's over. White boy summer. I don't care. Black guy died while being apprehended because he was fighting on. Don't care. Shouldn't have been here. I only care about the white guy that was beaten to death on a beautiful Sunday afternoon in Dublin, his home, by teenagers. I don't care. I'm 35, man. For the last, Jesus Christ, 20 odd years, I've been aware of things on the news. Maybe longer, 23 years.
Ich hoffe, ich komme niemals in so eine Situation, weil wenn mich jemand zu Tod prügelt, einen nehme ich mit.
It's all I ever see. Some of the biggest hits in my life that I've ever seen have been terrorist attacks at the hands of people that don't look like me, affecting people that look like me. I don't care. What have they done for me except take? What have they done for this country, for my countrymen, for me? What have they done for anything or anyone other than take? Is that not why they're here? Because they have nothing and they come here to get things. And this is why it's even more despicable, because they're here out of the goodness of our heart to provide things to those that have less than we do. And what is their response? How do they repay us? By bouncing up the statistics of assault, drug crimes, violent crimes.
Ist so.
And a lot of them film it and laugh about it while they're doing it. And then our...
Musst mal überlegen. Ich habe das so plus minus im Kopf von der Statistik. Ich glaube sowohl Frankreich, Deutschland, Schweiz, Spanien. Du hast etwa 30-40% zwischen 20 und 40%, es variiert je nach Land, hast du Kriminalität durch die Migration. Also durch Leute von anderen Kontinenten oder anderen Ländern, die zu dir kommen. Ich glaube, das ist sogar... Ich glaube, egal in welches Land du gehst, du hast den Wert. Plus, minus. Und jetzt es ist halt einfach eine Tatsache, wenn die Leute nicht wären, dann gäbe es diesen Teil halt nicht. Das kannst du nicht denyen. Du kannst nicht sagen, es stimmt nicht. Das Gleiche ist zum Beispiel auch in Deutschland, oder? Da sagen sie so, ja, aber es werden halt mehr Straftaten von Deutschen oder von Nicht-Ausländern verübt. Ja, du hast auch mehr Leute von denen. Aber wenn du das im Verhältnis vergleichst, wenn die anderen, sagen wir mal jetzt, gleich viel von denen gäbe wie von den anderen und das Verhältnis würde gleich bleiben, dann würden dann wären die anderen auch mehr. Also das heisst, du hast zwar vielleicht effektiv weniger, weil du auch weniger Leute von denen hast, aber du hast du hast trotzdem pro 100'000 Köpfe hast du halt einfach eine größere Anzahl als jetzt bei den anderen. Und sowohl in Frankreich, Deutschland, Schweiz und so gibt es halt einfach gewisse Nationalitäten, die rausstechen. Das hat nichts per se mit der Nation, also es hat nichts wirklich direkt damit zu tun, dass sie jetzt so sind, weil sie die Nationalität haben, sondern es hat mehr dazu, dass in dieser Nation gewisse Punkte gibt, wo gewisse Leute halt davon eher betroffen sind und dazu führt, dass die dann so eher sind oder handeln oder so. Aber wegen dem heisst ja dann nicht, dass du pauschalisierst und sagst, es sind jetzt alle so. Aber du hast halt gleich, je nach Kultur hast du halt immer etwas mehr als jetzt beim anderen. Also, du kannst es auch ganz banal machen. Wenn du willst, sagen wir jetzt mal, du schaust, wie viel Käse essen Inder im Verhältnis zu Schweizer. Da wird der Schweizer Kopf obviously mehr Käse fressen, weil das halt einfach bei uns halt eine Essenskultur ist. Und du hast halt in verschiedenen Bereichen hast du halt auch Kultur. Zum Beispiel das mit dem Messer, da ist sogar ein sehr gutes Beispiel. Ich kenne es halt von Guatemala, zum Beispiel ist es ganz normal, dass du eine fucking Machete hast. Hast du jetzt eine Machete bei dir, weil du irgendwelche Leute abschlagen mit denen? Nein, der Hauptgrund, warum du eine Machete hast, ist, weil du halt zum Teil auch oft viele Leute hast, die durch den Dschungel gehen und halt das Zeug abhacken und es ist halt, die haben statt eine Axt, haben sie eine Machete. Weißt du, so. Und dann hast du zum Beispiel in Spanien, ist es meistens so, viele Leute haben ein Sackmesser im Hosensack. Und dann, es ist dann auch nicht rassistisch zu sagen, ja, Spanier, die öfters ein Sackmesser, das ist einfach kulturell, genau wie ein beim lateinamerikanischen Haus eher mal eine Machete findest. Das ist einfach so. Aber was das zu was führt, das ist dann auch immer anders. Zum Beispiel in Amerika wirst du eher jemanden mit einer Pistole finden als mit einem Messer. Weil halt dort einfach fucking Pistolen legal sind. Es ist auch legal, das bei dir zu tragen. In der Schweiz haben wir zum Teil mehr Leute pro Kopf, die eine Knarre haben, als ein Amerikaner. Aber hier darfst du halt nicht mit der rumlaufen. Das macht auch schon einen riesen Unterschied.
Own judges, let them go. Wow, Jake, white people are so mad right now. All these people are so mad. They're just so racist. To every black that is currently strutting the streets of Dublin like they own the place for this protest of this nobody. Take your racism, take your claims of racism, take your plight, and shove it firmly up your ass. I don't give a Then there's an alternative charge,
I
and that
agree.
charge is the offense of manslaughter. And a person commits the offense of manslaughter if he or she deliberately, unlawfully, or not in reasonable self-defense caused the death of another by an act that is a reasonable person would realize could result in some, if not really serious harm. Now, this is like the legal jargon definition of what manslaughter is. It's the lack of predetermination with the intent to kill. So by saying it's not a murder charge, take the manslaughter charge, because manslaughter is less culpable. Manslaughter is less, by their own admission, is less culpable than
Manslaughter. Das muss ich schnell übersetzen. Eben Totsch. Doch. Ich habe mir gedacht, dass sie kein Totschlag sein, aber habe mich nicht traut aussprechen.
murder. It's the difference between 15 years for murder and 8 years for manslaughter, give or take, right? This is just these are arbitrary numbers I'm pulling off the top of my head. So you had this judge try.
Ich finde, der Totschlag ist. Für mich wäre jetzt Totschlag so, du willst einem eine Pfust in die Fresse geben und dann triffst du halt einfach blöd die Nase und dann geht die Knochen da rein und der ist dann tot. Das wäre für mich dann ein Totschlag. So, du hast dann vielleicht nur einen auf die Nase auch, aber hast ihn halt umgebracht. Aber wenn du mit einem Messer jemanden in die fucking Brust reinstichst, was hast du das Gefühl, da kommt easy davon weg, oder was?
Trying to actually advocate for this silly to get a lighter sentence by pushing them to go for a manslaughter charge, which they still won't even take. It's murder. Are we under any suspicion that it was anything else? This was cold-blooded, deliberate murder because he was white. He's carrying this blade around with him just in case he got the opportunity to stab a white guy. A blade, which we're not allowed to carry, by the way. We are not allowed to carry a fixed blade.
Gut sagt er das habe ich auch die ganze Zeit. Niemand hat eine Erlaubnis, mit dem scheiß Messer dort rumzulaufen. Aber ja, weißt du, weil es ein religiöser Grund ist. Dann drücken wir das Auge zu, weißt du, das ist halt Kultur und Religionsfreiheit. Geistig behinderte Leute, ey. Schwöre, ey. Schau mich nicht so an. Nein, ich schwöre, Alter. Ich sag lieber jetzt gerade nicht, was ich denke. Ich würde sonst gebannt, Alter.
For self-defense, okay? If you are white British, you are not allowed to carry around a fixed blade on your person for the use of self-defense or any other reason. You are not allowed to do that. However, this foreigner and his alien demonic religion is allowed to carry around an 8-inch blade because of the religion that is so accommodated by England to the point of arming foreigners. Our own.
Das hat eben die Schweiz schon richtig gemacht mit diesen Huren Burkas. Sorry, nicht gegen Burkas. Aber. Sorry. Die Leute haben gesagt, ja, aber es ist mit der Religionsfreiheit. Aber wir haben halt oh fuck, ich kann nicht mehr reden. Ein Verschleierungsgesetz. Du darfst dein Gesicht nicht verschleiern, weil man muss dich halt können identifizieren können. Und falls mal etwas wäre, halt keine Ahnung, wie zum Beispiel ein Terroranschlag oder so, dann will man halt können sicher sein, dass man dich auf den Kameras kann identifizieren kann. Und wenn du dich halt vermummst, das ist das Wort, das mir nicht in den Sinn kommt, Vermummungsverbot oder so. Auf jeden Fall, dann, dann bist halt, sagt man dich halt nicht und dann ist das halt ein Sicherheitsmaßnahme. Und wenn jetzt halt, wenn du kannst ja nicht deine Sicherheit lockern, nur damit jetzt jemand seine Freiheit seine Religionsfreiheit kann ausleben. Du musst einfach sagen, hey, look, anhand von der Sicherheitsmaßnahmen steht das im Konflikt mit dem. Und Sicherheit sollte sowieso oberste... Sicherheit und Freiheit läuft oft miteinander zusammen. Manchmal hast du durch viel mehr Sicherheit gewisse Freiheiten, die du vorher nicht gehabt hast. Aber du musst halt auch irgendwann auch schauen, dass halt nicht wegen zu viel Sicherheit halt gar keine Freiheit mehr hast, blöd gesagt. Das muss halt verhältnismäßig sein. Boah, jetzt bin ich voll rausgefallen. Auf was habe ich eigentlich hinaus wollen? Ja, genau. Wegen dem Messer. Hey. Weißt du, ich hätte es dir noch... Nein, es ist bei beiden Fällen. Es ist halt einfach ganz einfach. Du scheiß auf deine Religion, wenn das gegen unsere Sicherheitsmaßnahmen verstößt. Dann komm halt nicht zu uns. Wenn du deine Religion nicht kannst ausleben, weil unsere Sicherheitsmaßnahmen dir im Weg sind, dann dann brüll woanders. Weißt du, ich weiß ganz genau, was das für Leute sind in England, wo das Zeug noch überhaupt noch zugelassen, also befürwortet oder verteidigt oder was auch immer. Ich sage euch einfach eins, Mann. Wenn das so weitergeht, und wir haben jetzt halt schon den Rechtsruck halt weg dem, aber wenn der Rechtsruck nichts bringen würde, es ist nur eine Frage von der Zeit, dann hast du irgendwelche Leute, die einfach Selbstjustiz ausüben. Und verwundern musst du dich dann auch nicht. Entschuldigt ist es nicht, legitimiert ist es auch nicht, aber verwundern musst du dich auf jeden Fall nicht.
Own people are walking around like cattle, like lambs to the slaughter, with nothing, and they are bestowed upon them the legal right through religious freedom to walk around with a fixed 8-inch blade because their religion is barbaric. Previously, the court heard the defendant was carrying an 8-inch blade in a sheath around his neck in Belmont Road at around 11:30 GMT. That's Greenwich Mean Time. That's UK time. That's 00. The prosecution says the kirpan, a religious knife, caused five stab wounds. There is nothing that this teenage white boy who wasn't even drunk could have possibly done or said that would warrant a response like this. But do you want to know how this is trying to justify why he stabbed this teenage boy 5 times with an 8-inch blade? Caused 5 stab wounds to Novak, including 2 to the back of his leg and a fatal wound to the chest. 3, if my counting is correct. There's reports that Novak tried to climb a fence to get away from this, and the followed him, chased him, stabbing wildly at the back of his legs. Why the back of his legs? Because he was up a fence trying to get away from him. And the judge is trying to push manslaughter? Have you gone mad? Have you gone insane? Responding to a question by the jury as to whether it was legal to carry a knife of that size, the judge said it would have to be for a good reason, such as only for self-defense or for
Responding to a question by the jury as to whether it was illegal to carry a knife of that size, the judge said it would have to be for a good reason, such as only for self-defense or for religious reasons. Oh Gott, oh Gott, oh Gott, die Leute sind so fucking behindert, Mann.
religious reasons. It is illegal to carry an 8-inch blade in public in the UK. In fact, under UK law, it is a criminal offense to carry any knife in public for the purpose of self-defense. Claiming protection as a reason is not considered a valid defense, and carrying a large fixed blade can carry penalties of up to 4 years in prison. That's 4 years just for having the thing. Does this judge know the law? The judge, responding to a question by the jury as to whether it was legal to carry a knife of that size, the judge should have said no. The judge said it would have to be for a good reason, such as only self-defense. I'm gonna shoot through the ceiling, dude. Am I missing something? Chat, help me here. I've been living in the UK since ever, and as far as I know, there was never a time you could carry an 8-inch blade. Who is this judge? 3 things should piss you off. This judge said 1 sentence and 3 things of it should piss you off. The judge said it would have to be for good reason. Wrong.
No.
That's 4 years in prison for carrying the thing. The good reason for carrying it should be only for self-defense. You can't use a blade, which is already illegal, to defend yourself or for religious reasons. So you're telling me that we invited a religion into this country that is allowed to carry a knife when we're not, and use it to stab people for self-defense when we're not? He added, it is for Vikram Digva to prove that he is more likely than not that he had a good reason for having it. There is no good reason. There is the religious reason for carrying the blade can't possibly justify the reason for using it for self-defense, right? You are allowed under religious freedom to carry the blade, but to start swinging it at white kids for self-defense? What am I reading here? Giving legal directions to the jury, the judge added probably something. Do not allow, it is. Do not allow any feelings of sympathy. Your decision must be unbiased. Make sure you feel nothing for the injustice of this poor white boy. Oh, I tell you what, Judge. Do you know what? Sure. Let's follow your advice. I won't allow my personal feelings to get in the way of my decision. Let's consider the facts. Walks around with a knife. We've got 1 dead white kid with 3 stab wounds to the chest, one of which was deep enough to make him die. And then we've got 2 at the back of his legs that were caused by the chasing the white kid. This is not manslaughter. This was intent to kill. So yes, I'm going to deliberate in the direction that this out of pure hatred for white people wanted to stab this kid to death and is relying on like you, Judge.
Bro, der hat so viel Schnittstellen. Der war so am Fluchen gewesen, Alter, bei diesem Stream. Es war Wahnsinn gewesen. Er war so hässlich gewesen. Und das auch berechtigt, ey. Ich selber wohne nicht in England und es macht schon mich mega pissig. Aber mich macht es aus dem gleichen Grund pissig auch wie er. Das Ding ist halt, gell, du hast halt einfach selbstgerechte Leute, die halt linksradikale Ideologie blind vertrauen, supportet, nicht bereit sind, auch mal ein bisschen scheiße auszusehen, dafür die Wahrheit outcallen. Und wegen dem passieren die Sachen. Es könnte verhindert werden, das Problem könnte man von heute auf morgen lösen, aber die Leute stehen einfach im Weg. So einfach ist das.
To make sure that he gets away with it. Previously, the court heard the University of Southampton first-year student was walking back to his accommodation after drinking to a level below the drink-drive limit. So this kid, turns out, was not drunk because the is a filthy liar. This kid was not drunk. He was legal to drive. That's how little he had had. Jurors were told the attack was not witnessed and Henry Novak tried to escape by climbing over a fence. Giving evidence, the defendant of St. Denis Road, Southampton, told the court that Novak, who he described as drunk, had racially abused him before punching him and knocking off his turban. Was there a mark on this? Was there a mark on him? So lucky there was no one around. I'm sure knocking off his turban and punching him in the face for absolutely no reason whatsoever. You're telling me this 18-year-old peace-loving white kid, this student, saw an Indian in the street and was so immediately enraged, decided to go assault him verbally and physically for no reason whatsoever? Do I have twat written on my forehead? Who is believing this? And so what if he was punched and he had his turban knocked off? Let's say that is the case. Let's say that is the case, that his turban was knocked off and he very much was punched in the face. May I refer to this prior statement that says you cannot use a fixed blade to defend yourself in public because even carrying the thing is going to put you in prison for 4 goddamn years. So even if the was telling the whole truth, and that is the case, and this white kid punched him so lightly that there's not a mark on his face, and he knocked his turban off, and he grabbed his hair, and he called him a G, Called him a smelly poo-poo flinger. Says that his religion is demonic and his gods are demons. Says that worshipping cows is... He did all this. None of that gives you justification for taking out your religious ceremonial blade and stabbing the kid. Why the is this religious blade sharpened? The more I read this, the more it gets. It gets and I feel more going through this story. He said that he had stabbed Novak to the back of his leg. Get this next sentence. I want you to hear this next sentence, and I want you to try and make sense of this. He said that he stabbed Novak to the back of his legs in self-defense after Novak had threatened him and grabbed him by the hair. Can someone put that as a prompt in an AI generator so we can see what the f that looked like? Dear Grok, can you make a video reconstruction of what it would look like if a guy grabbed your hair and in retaliation, you stab them in the back of the legs out of desperation to save your life? The judge is sitting there and trying to get this manslaughter charge when it's quite obviously murder? Claimed he had not realized at the time that he had caused the fatal stab wound to his chest. I am almost lost for words. You are this kid's parents. I've seen videos of this kid from his own social media, okay? Just a normal white kid, peaceful kid. He had friends, a loving family.
Bro, wenn ich dem sein Vater wäre, ich wäre ein paar Wochen später wahrscheinlich eingelassen. Garantiert. Oh. Nein. Ich würde es verstehen. Ich würde es auf jeden Fall verstehen. Es ist schrecklich, so etwas. Also, weil ich wollte ja auch nicht irgendwie jetzt da irgendwie sagen, man soll Selbstjustiz verüben, es sei okay, so auf gar keinen Fall. Aber wie gesagt, wenn die Leute nicht eine gerechte Strafe bekommen, musst du dich dann auch nicht wundern, wenn Leute, die am Opfer nachgestanden sind, dann auch komplett Crash-out gehen. Und dann auch impulsiv werden. Und dann die Frage ist dann auch, hat man dann echt für die auch die gleiche Empathie, die man auch für einen Täter hatte?
There's many instances where he's wearing a suit and tie, he's at celebrations, he's at parties, he's doing dances. He looks like someone I know's kid. Right? A teenager, yeah, he's 18 years old, he's technically a man, but they're still kids. They still have that immaturity, they still act like children, they still have some of that left behind behavior of being a child. They're still reliant on their parents, right? They're still like the most precious thing in your life, that your life still revolves around them. You get a phone call that the light of your life, the kid that you took to school several thousand times, you woke up in the morning to go to school, that you went on vacation with over the summer holiday, that you made dinner for, you changed his diapers, bought him new clothes, you took him out to hang out with his friends, you reassured him when he was scared about something. This is what you've been through as a parent of an 18-year-old. You've been through all that, from a baby to a toddler, their first steps, their first words, discovering who they are, going out into the world, exploring their interests. That's your child. Yeah, he's 18, he looks like a full-grown man, but to you, he's still that little 4-year-old boy who says, Dad, look, Dad, look, are you looking? Dad, look, Dad, watch. He's that kid. You get a phone call to be told he's dead. He was face down with his hands cuffed behind his back. His last words, through his, I can only imagine, the greatest amount of fear he's probably ever felt in his life. Panic and fear. The last thing he said is, I can't breathe. And all around him were people just sneering at him, giving him attitude, calling him a liar. And now you go to court, where everyone proceeds to lie their asses off. You've got the judge telling the jury not to care about the kid. Just call it like you see it. Don't let emotions get in the way. You've got
hat voll recht, Alter. Wow, das Zeug macht mich jetzt gerade auch mega emotional und hässig. Ja, ist nicht das erste Mal. Ich habe jetzt das Thema jetzt die letzten paar Tage auch immer wieder gehabt, aber... Oh, fuck, ey. Das ist einfach... So viele Sachen, die falsch laufen, ey. So viele Sachen, ey.
Got the judge trying to sympathize with the... trying to get them a manslaughter charge so they spend less time in jail. You've got the lying his ass off, saying it was self-defense, that he was assaulted, and you, the parent, are looking around at this room of wondering what the has just happened to your country? You are looking on in futility. There is nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to stop it. There's no force you can exert to change what's happening in that room. You must feel so useless. Your son is dead. The light of your life. The person that your life has revolved around for nearly 20 years. You put your life on hold to have this kid. Worth the sacrifice, you say, every day of your life. And you look around and everything is failing you. The one thing that you could possibly be given, justice, and you're not getting it. Meanwhile, you've got, where's the protest? Where's the body cam footage for Henry? If it's so cut and dry, if it's actually manslaughter, where's the body cam footage? Release it fast. I dare you. I want to see the...
Die werden niemals werden die Bodycams veröffentlichen. Die einzige Art und Weise, wie sie es veröffentlichen, ist, wenn England hört auf, seine Politik so scheiß gay zu machen und sie endlich mal ein bisschen mehr recht sind. Und dann hauen sie vielleicht die Videos raus. Dann ja.
Body cam footage of this. I want to hear the arrogant, smug attitude coming from these... I want to hear the nasty attitude they had towards Henry Novak. I want to hear the police's complete lack of compassion for a dying child. I want this do you know why I want this body cam footage to be released? Look, I'm already radicalized, okay? I'm a no mercy kind of guy. I'm too far gone. I want white people. Normal, boomer, performative white people. I want to see liberal white women try and justify this. I want to see leftist scum, white leftist scum, try and justify this. I want to see them try and tell us, no, this is not grounds for you to get angry and hateful. No, this does not justify racism. I want to see them try and do that because because they have...
Ein Großteil, warum wir auch nicht die Leute wegbekommen, die so viele Probleme machen, ist hauptsächlich scheiß linke Frauen. Das ist einfach so. Vor allem, die sind dazu noch manipuliert worden von so fat middle-aged women.
Haven't released the body cam footage, because it is disgusting what is on that footage. You know what's on that footage with the context that we have now is going to be absolutely radicalizing. I want white people to see it because clearly people are struggling to try and to actually empathize with anything that's happening here. Oh yeah, just another stabbing. These are
die haben so Angst, dass sie als Rassisten oder als Hass- und Hetzer angeschaut werden. Ja, ganz ehrlich, scheiß auf die Leute. Scheiß auf die Leute.
just words on the BBC News website. That's all it is. These are just words. These are just names. These are just scenarios. These are just acts and plays and things that aren't real. These are people. These are parents. These are criminals. These are victims. These are real people. These are kids that you could have gotten to know, that your kids could have gotten to know. It could have helped people one day. Could have gotten married and have children, known true love, known happiness, known the unbridled joy of being a father. I want white people to see this body cam footage. I'll watch it and nothing will change. I will be just as angry as I am now. I'm at maximum here. I'm maxed out all the time. I want other people to see this. People are sleeping on this shit. He claimed he hadn't realized at the time that he had caused the fatal stab wound to the chest. Guys, I don't know if anyone knows this. It's actually quite difficult to plunge a knife through someone's ribcage into their lung. You need some considerable force to do that. You need some considerable force to get through to do that. And then the stab wounds at the back of the legs, need I say more? If there's stab wounds at any point on the back of the person, it means you chase them. Do they think we're as stupid as all of their poo flingers back in India? Do they think we're that stupid? We're as stupid as they are? We import shit tons of these to be our goddamn doctors. The police initially handcuffed the victim before discovering his fatal injury a short time later, the police previously heard.
Das ist auch so etwas, weißt du, sprichst dich, sagst so, ja, holen wir doch nur bei der Migration die Leute, die man kann brauchen, die anderen, die man nicht kann brauchen, die sollen gehen oder so. Dann gibt es immer die anderen, die gerade mit dem Strohmann argumentieren. Ja, aber die meisten Ärzte und die meisten Pfleger und die Jobs, die niemand machen will. Ja, Hauptsache du hast Menschen zweite Klasse im Land, gell? Hure geil. Und wer am meisten profitiert davon sind die ja gegen die man ja anscheinend so dagegen steht. Eat the rich und so, hä?
Weird. Okay, do you know what? I am going to make an assumption here. I may or may not be wrong here, but I'm gonna make an assumption here. On this body cam footage that they are not going to release, and that they're not releasing it for this reason. On this body cam footage, you are going to see that this kid, Henry, has quite clearly been fatally stabbed, okay? But upon hearing that he's been fatally stabbed because he was being racist, the police decided that that was justification to cuff him and keep him cuffed. That's why they're not going to release the body cam footage, because it clearly shows that Henry Novak was struggling to stay alive, that he was clearly stabbed multiple times. If you're stabbed 5 times, one of which was fatally, you would see blood everywhere. Henry would have been spluttering and choking the moment the police arrived. But they heard that the white boy was being racist, so they cuffed him. Because the police have a vendetta against white people too. I don't know if these police were white themselves. Based on the way white police officers act, I wouldn't be surprised if they were like that. They are traitors to us. But it very much could have been Indian police. It could have been black police who were tired of arresting black people all day, finally got the chance to cuff a white person. These police that were responsible for cuffing this kid should be in prison for life. That was intentional, to cuff a dying child. The police show up. Thank goodness, Henry thought. Oh, why?
Ich würde dem nicht einmal lebenslänglich in den Knast stecken. Eben, wie gesagt. Wegen dem Fall gerade Todesstrafe führen, gerade Tag, nicht einen Monat warten, so 2 Wochen, zack, bumm, er ist tot. Schickst seine Leiche mit seiner ganzen Familie zurück in sein Heimatland. So einfach.
Why am I being cuffed? I'm dying. I'm dying. Oh my god, I'm dying. I can't breathe. This poor kid. You will never understand the panic that he was in. There is something so very deeply wrong with this country, and I think everyone can feel it. In fact, I know they can. But there's this concept of racism that is so unbelievably potent.
Die Leute sind betäubt. Die sind so betäubt. Und auch komplett resigniert. Und das sage ich. Musst du dir mal vorstellen, wie schlimm es muss sein, dass ich das sage. Sogar, für mich ist es sogar schon zu betäubt, zu resigniert.
The concept of racism, the level to which this phrase has been elevated as a form of power and control over white people.
Ja, wie so ein Zauberspruch, wie so ein Harry Potter Zauberspruch. So, Abracadabra! Und so gehört deine Seele mir.
Never exist. Being called a racist has ramifications that are so egregious that people are dying, terrorists are setting off bombs, killing children. Kids are being stabbed in the street because white folks are afraid to be called racist? Digva's mother, Kiran Kaur 53.
Das ist auch der Grund, warum ich das Ganze hier mache, warum ich da immer mehr reingehe, warum ich immer mehr mit dem wird vorwärts machen. Ich werde nicht aufhören. Ich werde nur noch mehr reingehen. Und jedes Mal, wenn mir irgendjemand mir das Gefühl gibt, dass er froh wäre, oder sie, wer auch immer froh wäre, dass ich damit aufhöre so, und mir das Gefühl gibt, mir gibt das nur noch mehr Motivation. Ich mache nur noch mehr weiter. Und es ist mir scheißegal, wie viele Leute mich hassen. Es ist mir scheißegal, wie viele Leute mich missverstehen. Weil ich weiss, ich stehe fürs Richtige ein. Und vor allem kann ich das Scheiß nur raus. Ich will es nur zeigen, ich will es nur präsentieren, ich gebe euch nur den Zugang dazu. Ich habe das halt auf dem Schirm, weil ich es auf dem Schirm will haben. Mir ist scheißegal, ob irgendjemand würde sagen, wieso tust du lieber dich nicht auf ein schönes Leben konzentrieren. Nein, Alter, nein. Das ist das, was ich will.
3 is also on trial and denies assisting an offender by removing a weapon from the murder scene. It'll be on the body cam footage. Where did they find the knife? Where did they find the knife that she quote-unquote did not actually hide? Where did they find it? This deserves to be in prison for the rest of his life. In fact, he deserves to be deported. His entire family deserves to be deported from this country and sent back to India, and and then spend 45, 50, 100 years in an Indian prison for the rest of his life. This Indian was itching for the opportunity. Itching for the opportunity to attack a white kid. That's why it was so savage. That's why it was so unprovoked. This kid did not randomly punch an Indian for no reason, rip off his turban, and then grab his hair. He did not do any of that. If this turns out to be another case of injustice, if once again there are lenient sentences...
Wissen tut man es nicht. Und auch wenn wir es würden wissen, es wird keinen Unterschied machen. Nur weil dir irgendjemand etwas würde sagen, was dir nicht passt, ist das noch lange genug Grund, um ein Messer in die Finger zu nehmen, wo ja sonst ja schon verboten ist. Auch schon nur der Besitz. Und du dann die Person an sehr schwierige Stellen verletzt ist, die garantiert zum Tod führen können, dann ist es nicht nur Totschlag, dann ist es auch versuchter Mord. Und jeder, der versucht, das relativieren, wie auch der mit in Winterthur, das ist jetzt meine Message an dich. Heb deine Fresse! Damit machst du dir und uns allen auch einen Gefallen.
Sentences for these. This judge did everything they can to lower the severity of the punishment for this crime. I am never going to let this go. Me and every other nationalist content creator in the UK are going to bring this up all day, every day. And don't even get me started on the...
Ich würde euch up to date halten. Das Scheiß macht zu wenig Wellen. For real. Das muss Minimum so Wellen machen, wie die Spanierin, wo ich auch einen Stream gemacht habe. Leia hat sie, glaube ich, geheißen. Sie, die Exit Exit hat wollen. Also, bekommen hat sie sich, ja, legal umbringen lassen. Ja.
Police. The police that did this, they made sure this kid was gonna die. They could have called the ambulance, was the first thing they could have done. And instead of calling the ambulance, they cuffed him to make sure he died. One less white kid. Am I right? This is...
Das ist auch so etwas. Die behinderten, dummen scheiß Polizistinnen haben nicht mal den Dreckskrankenwagen gerufen. Egal.
This is injustice as a result of a corrupt leftist judicial system and a corrupt Marxist immigration system. Everything we've been saying is a problem. Everything that we've been told is not a problem actually is the biggest problem in the room. That's not a problem. There's no problem with Indians and Middle Easterns. You're just a racist.
Was wäre es ja eigentlich...
Er hat so gut gemacht. Ich habe gerne zu dem Video reacted. Bleiben wir gerade ein bisschen bei England. Ich habe da nochmal ein Video. Und zwar ein Typ in England erzählt so, wie er momentan das Ganze jetzt gerade ein bisschen sieht. Also jetzt nicht der Vorfall, aber halt einfach so, was er der Meinung ist, was halt im Land anders sein sollte und so. Aber bevor ich da in das Video reingehe, da eben nochmal kurz zum Zeigen, oder? Das ist der Typ, der Täter. Wieso darf der mit dem Ding rumlaufen? Das wegen dem so ein scheiß Messer darfst du rumtragen, obwohl es illegal ist. Das ist so dumm, ey. Oh shit, das Video ist auch heavy. Wir schauen das Video und dann gehen wir auf den danach.
Throughout your life, and that's what I've seen the last 30 years. And if it goes
Sorry,
on, we're
ich habe ein
finished.
Bild mit drin gehabt.
So what does finished look like?
What does finished look like? Finished looks like an economic collapse. Finished looks
Sorry, ich muss nochmal von vorne. Ich habe gar nicht gemerkt, dass man nur mich sieht. Oh shit. Also.
Oh yeah, so apparently this video was really popular. Like, how many views has this video got so far? It's already had 1 million views. This is just a random... They apparently just randomly interviewed this guy on the side of the street.
So what has persuaded you to come out today?
Well, we've driven up, my son and I, from Newbury because obviously we can see the state of the nation and there's a national emergency and we need to obviously think about the future. What kind of country are we going to have for our children? Or are we going to have a nation at all? Now, I'd rather live in a nation and not a market, not a borderless international supermarket browsed by mutually hostile strangers, not something that reduces us all to bargain hunters. We need to save the nation, and I think that Rupert Lowe's Restore Britain is the only credible vehicle to do that.
Jesus.
What was it that made
What an...
you come over? What were the issues
Jesus.
that pulled you to Restore? And what was the moment?
Well, you can see that there's obviously there's the bankruptcy of the general liberal idea. There's the fact that you get a sense that the Western idea and the ideas we've had since the Second World War are winding down themselves. And at the same time, you can't escape the fact that we appear to be morally as well as financially bankrupt across the West, across Europe and in Britain, that the whole system is in a form of crisis. If you like, what we used to call normal life has been replaced by a permanent state of emergency in terms of our social incohesion, in terms of demographic change, in terms of the fact that there appear to be no realistic solutions offered, and whoever you vote for, the same mad policies get continued throughout your life, and that's what I've seen the last 30 years. And if it goes...
Das ist genau das, was die meisten Leute aufregt. Egal zu welcher Partei sie sich zugehörig, also zu welcher Partei sie sich zugehörig finden, was auch immer. Die meisten Leute, die normalsten Leute sind pissig wegen dem. Die meisten begründen es halt anders, aber im Grundprinzip ist das, warum die Leute pissig sind.
on, we're finished.
Exactly
So what does finished look like?
What does finished look like? Finished looks like an economic collapse. Finished looks like spending all your money on foreign wars when nothing works in the country. Finished looks like you can't get a job for being competent. There's no sanity even in recruitment. We have a competency crisis because for increasingly ideological and insane reasons, employment opportunities, even training opportunities are restricted.
Yes.
There's one news story after another about why, for political reasons, we're doing mad things that bankrupt the country, that basically park people's careers, that exclude talented people of genuine principle from any area of influence whatsoever. And taken collectively, this is the politics and economics of national suicide. So it has to stop. And there's increasingly a sense, not just in Britain, but throughout the West, that something has to change. And I think that's only going to build as we begin to see the devastating consequences of the latest round of reckless warmongering in the Middle East.
Oh my god.
Boah, shit!
Bro. Oh my god. He's spinning so hard, yeah.
Which we should never have been involved in, but we're all going to have to live with those consequences. And from this summer on, we're going to see how bitter they are. And it's only going to get worse unless we change the system. And there's no real change that's offered by the parties of the force.
Und das ist auch der Grund, warum ich zum Beispiel auch für die 10 Millionen Initiative bin. Das ist für mich ein taktischer Rückzug. Wenn wir so weitermachen, das kommt nicht gut raus. Schau mal, wie weit Großbritannien ist. Schau mal Frankreich, schau mal Deutschland. Willst du, dass es der Schweiz genau gleich geht? Hört nicht, ey. Hört nicht. Und die EU wird ja sowieso über alle Europaländer entscheiden. Auch dort ist es mega brüchig. Lieber taktischer Rückzug, lieber safe bleiben. Das ist besser.
Consensus.
Vor allem zuerst auf die schauen, die man da hat. man muss Sachen unter Kontrolle haben. Leute haben das Gefühl, alles läuft tippitoppi, alles ist super einfach. Man muss sich nur mehr teilen, mehr geben, mehr Geld ausgeben, Hauptsache mehr Geld ausgeben, kommt schon alles gut, alle reinholen. So, nein, es funktioniert nicht. Das wäre schön, aber tut es nicht.
That was the liberal establishment after the Second World War, and it doesn't work anymore, and it hasn't produced the utopia it's promised. It's produced a sort of hell on earth.
A random guy on the side of the street canvassing for Restore Britain. Oh my god. Hey!
From which there seems to be no way out, but there is. There are people of genuine principle and genuine talent in this country, and the reason why so many people despair of that is because I think they've been systematically excluded from positions of power, influence, and professional advantage for ideological reasons that has bankrupted the country. But we have enormous human capital here. We're just not permitted to release it, because if you don't have the correct views, you don't get the job, you don't get any promotion. In fact, you might be harassed off social media and find yourself debanked, or at least your career is stymied.
Boah, das ist just disgusting.
Is this V? I mean, it...
So what we need is a realistic economy, some return of human dignity to every area of life. Because, as I said, it hasn't just financially bankrupted us, it's morally bankrupted us too.
It has.
And we're looking at a state where you're going to live in a borderless international bazaar, a placelessness, if you like, an international nowhere land, where nothing means anything, nowhere seems like home, and where the essential value of human life is replaced with price, such as...
Bro, this guy... You're just doing this off the top? Like, this is really impressive.
Mega.
This is crazy, bro.
We see in awful things like surrogacy
tweets, by the
or
way.
0 hours contracts, or the increasing degradation of what you call a work-life balance. Finally, how many people actually do work? How many people are now dependent on the state, directly or indirectly, to the point where those people exceed the ability of the nation to actually make money? This is an economic doom spiral.
It is.
And so the more that you look at the problem, the more you realise that really we are facing a national emergency. And if you are going to take on the duties of the state, something more than self-interest or printing money for your own political friends, we need to do better than that. We need to take seriously the depth of the crisis that we're in, and we need people of genuine principle and talent to address that. And I think we've found them under Rupert Lowe and in Restore Britain.
Based.
This is just... This is you know what's insane is that this video has been less than 5 minutes, and I feel like he's communicated like 20 minutes of information.
Ja.
Really, like this is insane.
Also, ich kann mir gut vorstellen, dass viele, die halt das Zeug nicht auf dem Schirm haben, die denken sich so, hä, was? Aber wenn du das Zeug einmal ein bisschen reingeschaut hast, checkst du sofort, der hat absolut recht. Das trifft auf England zu, das trifft auf Frankreich zu, das trifft auf Spanien zu, das trifft auf Deutschland zu, das trifft auch auf Italien zu. Obwohl Italien geht es mittlerweile schon einiges besser, habe ich gesehen.
Dang. It's nuts.
And so, do you believe that essentially it's the rhetoric of blood, sweat and tears that we need in this country?
No, I don't think we need any rhetoric at all. You see, that's partly the problem. For the last century, we've been ruled by the political technique of the liberal system, which is basically the rule by media. And what you do then is you use slogans and you use concepts and you attach people's hopes and dreams basically to messages for products that you're never going to deliver. That's how we're ruled. We are sold dreams. Our desires are stimulated by, if you like, the kind of ruling consensus. But none of these things ever happen. And instead what happens is what the elites want to happen. And so we get involved in these terrible economic doom spirals. We see the quality of our lives degraded as margins are shaved, everything's subject to shrinkflation now. It's not just your chocolate bars that are getting smaller. It's the value of
It's not just the chocolate bars that are getting smaller.
your wages.
It's the value of your wages. And he's completely right. So do you remember Reese's peanut butter cups? You used to be able to get 4 of them, and then you would get 5. Remember that? Because the normal one would be 4, but it would say you get an extra one if you get 4, you get 5. You know what you get now? You get 4.
Ist ja ähnlich. Aber nicht mit dem. Ist dir schon mal aufgefallen, wie die Pommes frites Portionen geschrumpft sind? Ja, früher, als ich 13, 14 war, das war vor 2 Decades, da hast du für 5 Stutz so eine fette Portion Pommes bekommen. Egal wo. Aber, und der frische, richtig gute. Jetzt, Alter, damit du so eine Portion bekommst, richtig schön frische, gute, Alter. 15, 18 Stutz, Kollege. Wenn du über, keine Ahnung, über eat.ch oder Uber Eats bestellst, Alter, Digga, ey. Fuck. Die Pommes kannst du fast nicht fressen, ey. Sag dir ehrlich.
Yep. You get 4 now. 2? No. It was always 2. Like when I was a kid, it was always 2. You could get the 2, or you could get 5.
your ability to earn a living. It's the kind of job that you have to do so. Usually a kind of dignity-free environment, right, where you're slowly choked to death by the lanyard and its terms and conditions. So if we have just more empty rhetoric, we're not going to get anywhere.
Exactly. Yes, it's just more bullshit.
You need credible people of genuine integrity and experience and ability who are committed to some higher purpose than themselves, than their own personal enrichment.
Ja! Fuck! Ja! Das, was ich hier gerade am machen bin, mir wäre scheißegal, wie viele Zuschauer ich habe, wie viel Cash ich verdiene. Ich mache das, weil ich das fürs Richtige halte und weil ich will. Ob ich jemals Erfolg hätte oder nicht, ich würde trotzdem weitermachen. Weil es das Richtige ist. Aber für mich fühlt sich nicht nur richtig an. Ich kann es auch begründen. Ich kann es auch erklären. Ich kann richtig lange Monologe führen, was das anbelangt. Wie gesagt, ich habe erst gerade angefangen.
Or their own mad ideological faction. We need a sense of higher purpose to see beyond the predicament that the real buy media has delivered us into, because it's delivered us all into a fantasy world that's turned out to be a nightmare.
Do you remember what I said? The hyper-reality. This is exactly it. Yes, the hyper-reality that everybody gets forced into.
Yeah.
And it's all a lie.
Ich hasse es.
And it's being enforced by corporations and media.
Ja.
The whole reason why we have woke on the internet is because of corporations. It's because of corporations and money.
Fuck.
And those adverts, if you like, for that system that Francis Fukuyama described as the end of history, the liberal system, he said, periodic elections plus cheap consumer goods. And that was the final verdict on the organisation of mankind, and we could never do any better. Well, it hasn't delivered, has it? The elections have delivered political paralysis in Britain and in France and in Germany, the major powers of Europe.
Yeah.
And so what's that electoral system doing? It's ground to a halt. And the economics of this, if you ask conservatives who basically market worshippers, if you sit next...
I'm so glad that they're hitting this on every point. Because he's totally right. Yes.
Yeah.
Their market, exactly. Like, oh, you care about money. It's about money.
to them and say, look, you've destroyed our nation, replaced it with a series of light industrial sheds, increasingly staffed by third world migrant labour. What has that conserved?
1 second. Let me link you guys the video. This is the original video. There. Yeah, retweet it, post it. I think this is the guy that posted, I'm not sure. Okay, I missed that part. Let me go back.
It's ground to a halt. And the economics of this, if you ask conservatives who basically market worshippers, if you sit next to them and say, look, you've destroyed our nation and replaced it with a series of light industrial sheds increasingly staffed by third world migrant labor.
Light industrial sheds increasingly staffed by third world migrant labor. That just about says it, doesn't it?
Das ist das, was ich meine mit, wir brauchen keine Menschen zweiter Klasse. So einfach. Wir brauchen keine Menschen zweiter Klasse da. Wir müssen die Leute nicht kriegen. Das Ganze, von wegen, die Jobs, die niemand machen will und wir sind darauf angewiesen, ja, dann mach einfach den Job fucking lukrativ. Und wenn's irgendjemand muss es, wird es machen. Und wenn du den genug gut bezahlst und dann vielleicht machst du, dass er halt ein bisschen weniger Stunden hat, wenn er das schon, dann macht er das liebend gern irgendwann. Aber du musst nicht extra jemanden vom dritten Weltland holen und dann das sich noch auspressen wie eine hure Orange. Hört auf mit dem hure Schwachsinn. Er hat voll recht, ey.
Yep.
What has that conserved? It's demolished everything. Everything that they claim to believe in about Burke and his little platoons, about traditional communities and traditional values, has basically been suborned to market worship and
It's because they only cared about it to make money. That's why.
Ja.
pure profit.
Is so.
We need something more than money. We need something more than empty ideological slogans. We need real change for people's real lives, for a change. And I think the crisis that the West generally is facing, politically, diplomatically, morally, and financially, gives you the opportunity to make the kind of deep-rooted change that you need to save the nation.
Er sagt so
You
gut.
see, this is man. This guy's English? Yeah, see? Is this person real? Yeah.
And where is
It's
it you think
John
that
England,
reform
yeah.
has fallen into? You know, these traps are falling for this because obviously you've chosen restore over reform.
Yeah.
And you've already mentioned the Iran war, and they obviously want to back the Americans.
Well, this is a difficult question to approach if you're not the kind of sad person with no life like me who actually gets into this. But the Americans didn't choose that war freely on their own, did they? They've admitted severally, their own chief diplomat Marco Rubio and many others, the leader of the House and so on, have said that this was a war for Israel because Israel was going to launch that war. And so the real fundamental question is who basically rules the United States, because that war is definitely not in the national interest of the Americans. In fact, I personally predicted this along with others at the beginning of January. This has led to a strategic defeat of the United States. It's broken its military presence, its credibility. It's now seen as agreement incapable. That means in diplomacy, nobody believes your promises. So no one's going to make any deals with you because you constantly break them. And what's worse with that, you then assassinate the people that you were trying to make the agreements with in the first place. Incidentally, the Straits were open before you did this, and you killed the man who placed a religious prohibition on the development of nuclear weapons, you know? And then your big idea is to bomb everybody so they love you. I mean, this is insane. It doesn't make sense. There's no interest in the national interest at the political elite level in the West, whether it's in the United States or whether it's in Britain or whether it's in Europe. And that's the reason why these political parties are seeing themselves decline dramatically in popularity, because they're not delivering for their own people.
He's right about that. Like, that's the reason why. Is that you have a lot of people that, like, I mean, again, like the Iran war, like, a lot of people get mad about this or whatever. I will tell you this. I don't care. Like, like, the Iran war is like a minor issue to me. It really is. It's a minor issue. Like, the important issues are like making sure that people are able to, grow up in a country where they're not a stranger in. People being able to have jobs, etc. Like, I don't really care about this a lot. So if I hear something that I disagree with, it doesn't trigger me or get me upset because there is a larger, greater goal here that exists that transcends a individual war.
Ja, voll.
I don't care about that.
The way that they rule is for the interests of
Yes.
the rulers, not the ruled. And you can see that there because these wars are
Right.
mad. And it's not just the Iran war. These wars are mad from the point of
Es geht mir auch ein bisschen so, also ich denke, ich würde ihm jetzt auch nicht 100% zustimmen, was den Iran-Krieg anbelangt. Ich glaube, es liegt auch sehr wohl im USA sein Interesse und nicht nur in Israel. Aber über das Thema habe ich auch schon geredet, also von dem her muss jetzt nicht da nochmal reingehen.
view the national interest of any Western nation because it didn't deliver anything for them other than misery and chaos. And in fact, if you look into the history of regime change, not only did it come about because of Benjamin Netanyahu saying that he wanted the West to
Seem to care all about the Iran war, though it could just be you cover it and state your opinions. Why? I care about it, right? But like the thing is that this is my outlook, right? Is that it's not important for me to get complete alignment with people that I think are generally on my side. Even though I disagree with his conclusion of like what the Iran war is, this person is fundamentally on my side. It's obvious they're on my side. So just because there's a difference in a difference of opinion in a specific topic, that doesn't really matter a lot to me. Because there's 500 other topics that there isn't a difference in opinion on, right? Does that make sense?
place diplomacy with the war on terror from 1979. But when it went on to do this, what did it produce? The reason we have a mass migration crisis in Europe is because of the wars in the Middle East that the United States has wholeheartedly fought, which serves only the grand strategy of the Israelis. That's the reason why you had millions of people come into Europe in 2015 from Syria. That's the reason why, as Colonel Gaddafi predicted in 2010, he went on French
He did say this. Gaddafi did say this.
television and said, if you kill me, Europe will turn black. And then in Operation Odyssey Dawn, when they did kill him, when Hillary Clinton and David Cameron killed Gaddafi, rather brutally, Europe did turn black. Because Libya was a gateway that wasn't open then. And so was Syria. And then so was Iraq. And so when you smash these countries, what happens? People flee and routes are established, and that becomes a business. Mass migration is a criminal enterprise. It's a racket. People pay thousands of dollars to be shipped into your country.
And by the way, that was proven. And like, obviously, I don't think it's entirely true because people from Pakistan and India that are there too, right? But like, either way, like, remember all those people that were saying that they paid a bunch of money to like an organization to like get them shipped over to, what was it, Portugal or something like that, in order to work there? Yeah, exactly.
This becomes a parallel economy. It's part of the corrupting influence of the business of mass destruction itself. And when people are beginning to see that now, because they're seeing that it's going to make changes in their pocket, the price of their petrol, the availability of their food through the scarcity of fertilizer, the cost of living is going to go up. Governments like the Labour Party and probably like Reform are going to borrow more in order to defray those costs, which will further devalue the value of your money, making it harder and harder to survive. It's a death spiral. Fundamentally, the decades of
Das ist etwa seit 20 Jahren, 25 Jahren kann man dieser Abwärtsspirale konstant, also man kann der, ja, die ganze Zeit können zuschauen, wie das stattfindet. Also wer die ganze Zeit ein bisschen ein Auge drauf geworfen hat, wird zugeben, dass das wahr ist.
regime change wars that I've seen have changed one regime more than most, and that's our own. Because I remember when we used to live in a sane, functioning, stable, and relatively happy country. And now it's terrible. And all these policies have been undertaken which have created this nightmare. And it's the political consensus that was formed after 1945 that's done this to us. And the reason
I'm glad that he's bringing this up because I do think that this has all been created because of the Nazis and Hitler. I think that's the
Yeah.
reason why Europe has this internalized
Kann schon
sense
gut
of
möglich
guilt
sein.
for allowing everybody into the country.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
because they got totally one-shot by Hitler.
Ja, fix.
And because now
fix,
Hitler was so
100
bad, they think that anything in terms
Yeah.
of not letting infinity people into your country is the same as Hitler.
Ist
And
so, ist
decolonization,
so.
yeah, exactly, right? Millions of white men died too because that stupid war. Well, I mean, overwhelmingly, that's what it was.
Warum? Nicht gegen die Deutschen, aber die haben vor allem die sind am meisten triggert von dem. Die müssen sich gar nicht so fühlen. Die haben ja noch gar nicht gelebt zu dieser Zeit. Das sind so, weißt du, wie ich meine? Der White Guild braucht niemand von uns.
Right? I mean, cool. Like white guilt? Yeah, exactly. Dude's waited his entire life to be interviewed? Yeah, I guess so. It goes back further to the 30s. No, again, like, I have no interest in, like, going back and, like, saying, like, this is when it happened, or, like, yeah, Weimar, Germany, or where the fuck. Like, I get it. I understand what you're saying, but, like, it makes, yeah, it's a deep-seated fear. Yeah, exactly.
And why none of these parties have any answers to these problems.
That was exclusively the Germany. The rest of Europe had no part of that guild. I think that they do.
Ja,
It seems to me like they do. I don't think
Normal.
it's that simple.
ja.
Obviously, Germany is the main part of it, but I think it's other places in Europe too.
Ja. Ja, ja. Fix.
Is because they are the problem and not the solution. And if they ever name the fact that it's their policies that have caused this, they're finished. And I think reality's making that argument now, and they know they're finished. And this is why you
Yep.
see the elites in the United States cashing out through series of well-documented financial trades timed to statements always made on Fridays just before the markets closed, like we saw yesterday, saying that peace is coming. This is so bad that the Federal Securities Commission is investigating the President of the United States and is in a circle for insider trading now, because it's obvious. So you're ruled by something that looks very much like a fanatical crime syndicate that does things that destroys everyone's lives, makes these wonderful promises to them, whether from the left or the right. But in the
Yeah.
end, what you get is chaos and,
And you don't get what you voted for.
war and open borders and mad slogans and the outright denial of reality. And it's not good enough because we have to live in the mess they made.
What's the Twitter for Frank?
Yeah, the Twitter is Frank Reiter, Righther, Frank Reiter. And inevitably, depressingly, I have a Substack. And I do videos for LifeSite News.
Absolute fucking patriot. And again, you might disagree with some of the finer points on this. You might think that there are some things that he's wrong about or whatever, and that's totally fine. But at the end of the day, I can look at this person and say that this is a person that's on my side, that is on the side of Western culture, that is on the side of, you know, continuing to, you know, be able to have countries and have sovereignty. And at the end of the day, that matters to me 1,000 fucking times more than the opinion about the Iran war, right? Or something else. I don't really care about that one thing. There are a lot of other things that go into that, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes. And this is what he said. This is the guy, right? And I'll link you guys his account. Oh, this is just a post I've seen. Another
That
crazy
is
man. Wanna
heavy.
see it?
Da, wo jetzt
Okay,
kommt.
give me 1 second. Let me look at that in just a second. Besides the whole Iran war is going to be on point. Yeah, I mean, and again, like, that's the thing is that he's going to have his own opinions on that. That doesn't really matter. Like, what matters to me is that there's an alignment on the ideology, right? That's it. The liberal West has normalized the reduction of human life to a financial transaction with surrogacy. This explains why BBC describes an Afghan man trading his daughters into sex slavery to defray his debts as a difficult choice. Moral nihilism in cause and effect. Man.
Damn.
What a guy. Ukraine is resuming its status as a hub for trafficking of women and children. Surrogacy is a major driver in this trade of human life, being the hire of women to produce babies for sale. Man. And he's a Catholic, obviously. I mean, it kind of goes without saying, but that's it. The update on that is wild. I know. It's actually just bleak, though. It is. Is there one more people want me to look at? Oh, what is... Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. not another one of these. Here, let me finish this before I do it. I do have to say that this guy, I mean, again, we have so many of these guys that are inside of politics. And really, I mean, I think that there should be more acknowledgement for the fact that there's a lot of these average guys that are just well-spoken, thoughtful people that want to see the country be a better place, right? I mean, that's it. And I think fundamentally, that's where he's at. That's where it matters. And awfully, you chose to have unprotected sex. You sell your children. Fucking disgusting. Well, it is disgusting. Of course, it's disgusting. And interesting Tower of Babel picture. Well, I think that the goal is right there. It's pretty obvious. Tell the truth to shame the devil. Yeah, please link the video again. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I can link the video again. There it is. And there it is. It's kind of based. Yeah, he's extremely based. And a lot of
mega based. Mega gutes Video. Ah, nicht unbedingt müssen zeigen. Ich glaube, ich bin fertig für heute. Ja, eigentlich noch noch ein bisschen zocken und so, aber ich bin jetzt gerade hure müde geworden. So jetzt die letzten paar Minuten in die Müdigkeit voll auf reinkicken. Ah, ist gut so, ich muss morgen früh aufstehen, von dem her. Passt schon. Ja. Ich wünsche in dem Fall allen einen schönen Abend und bis zum nächsten Mal. Peace!